Right now, somewhere in the world, a hacker is eating cereal. That sounds ridiculous, but it is true. And the gap between that image and the one you have in your head, the hoodie, the darkroom, the cascade of green code, that gap is exactly the problem. Because the version of hacking you have been sold by movies, by news, by every thriller you have ever watched is almost entirely wrong. And the real version is far stranger, far more methodical, and far more dangerous because of it. So what do hackers actually do all day? The answer starts not with a keyboard, but with patience. Most people imagine a cyber attack as a sudden explosive event, a door being kicked in, a fortress crumbling in seconds. But researchers like Kevin Mitnick, widely considered one of the most skilled hackers in history, described his process as something closer to archaeology. You are not kicking in a door. You are studying the building for months before you ever knock. You are learning which windows open, which guards take lunch at noon, which side entrance gets left unlocked on Fridays. This phase has a name. It is called reconnaissance. And for most hackers, both criminal and the ethical kind hired to test corporate defenses, it can consume 60 to 70% of the total time spent on any given target. You sit, you observe, you collect. What does collecting look like? It looks like reading. It looks like searching LinkedIn for a company's IT staff and mapping out who manages which system. It looks like pulling up a company's job postings and reverse engineering what software they run based on what qualifications they demand. It looks like scanning old data breaches to find emails and passwords that were leaked years ago, then testing whether any employee ever reused that password somewhere it still works. None of that is the stuff of action movies. All of it is devastatingly effective. A 2021 IBM security report found that the average time between an attacker gaining access to a system and a company actually detecting it was 212 days. 212 days. For 7 months, a stranger is living in your building, reading your files, mapping your corridors, before anyone turns on a light. The attack you feared was the break-in. The actual threat was the quiet tenant you never noticed. But reconnaissance is only the beginning. Once a hacker has built a map of their target, they move into a phase researchers call enumeration. This is where the methodical nature of the work becomes even more visible. You are not guessing wildly. You are systematically cataloging every possible entry point, every open port on a server, every service running on that port, every version number of every piece of software, because version numbers tell you exactly which known vulnerabilities that software carries. Think of it like this. Every piece of software ever written has bugs. Some bugs are cosmetic, some bugs are structural, and a small percentage of bugs are catastrophic. Openings that allow a stranger to walk straight into a system as if they belong there. These catastrophic bugs get cataloged publicly. They get assigned numbers called CVEs, common vulnerabilities and exposures. There are databases of them that anyone can search. And a hacker doing enumeration is essentially checking your building against a public list of every known architectural flaw and seeing how many apply. The hacker is not inventing the weapon. The hacker is finding the door you forgot to fix. This is where a crucial distinction emerges, because the person doing this might be a criminal, or they might be you. They might be you because there is an entire legal, well-paid profession built around doing exactly this. It is called penetration testing or ethical hacking. Companies hire these people, pen testers, red teamers, security researchers, to attack their own systems before the criminals do. To find the open doors before someone walks through them uninvited. A senior penetration tester at a major firm might spend their morning writing a report from yesterday's engagement, their afternoon scanning a client's web application for injection vulnerabilities, and their evening reading a newly published CVE to understand whether it affects any of their current clients. It is, in its structure, a knowledge job, a research job. The technical execution, when it finally happens, can take minutes. Getting to that moment takes weeks. When the actual exploitation phase begins, when a hacker finally attempts to use a vulnerability to gain access, the moment is often anticlimactic. Security researcher Bruce Schneier has written extensively about how the most sophisticated breaches often begin not with a zero-day exploit or some brilliant custom piece of code, but with a phishing email, a message that looks exactly like something you trust, an email from what appears to be your bank, your boss, your IT department. You click, you enter credentials. The door opens. Social engineering, the practice of manipulating humans rather than machines, is responsible for the majority of successful breaches. The 2023 Verizon Data Breach Investigations Report found that the human element was involved in 74% of all breaches. Not software failures, not hardware failures, humans, you. The system that hackers exploit most reliably is not Windows or iOS or Linux. It is the pattern-matching, trust-assuming, authority-following human brain. Your brain is not broken. It is doing exactly what it evolved to do. When something looks familiar, you trust it. When something carries authority, you defer. When something creates urgency, your account will be locked in 24 hours. Verify now. Your threat response activates and your critical thinking narrows. Hackers do not exploit your weakness. They exploit your functionality. And once they are inside, then comes the phase most people completely miss. Once inside a system, most attackers do not immediately steal data or launch ransomware. They move laterally, carefully, looking for more access, higher privileges, more valuable systems deeper in the network. A hacker who gets into a low-level employee's workstation does not want that workstation. They want the database server 3 layers deeper that the workstation connects to. They want the executive's email account that is linked to the company's financial systems. They want the domain controller that governs every machine in the building. This movement is slow, deliberate, often invisible, and it can continue for those 212 days. The tools used in this phase are, again, almost never the spectacular custom superweapons of fiction. Most attackers use tools that already exist on the target machine. Built-in Windows utilities, standard administrative scripts, the same software the IT team uses to manage the network. This technique is called living off the land, and it is devastatingly effective because the activity looks normal. Security software sees what looks like routine administrative work. The alarm never triggers. This is what the day-to-day of a criminal hacker actually looks like across a successful campaign. Mornings of checking whether persistent access is still active. Afternoons of carefully mapping new areas of the network. Evenings of reading security news to understand whether the attack has been detected, whether patches have been deployed, whether the window is closing. It is the work of a patient, methodical professional who understands that rushing is the fastest way to get caught. And on the other side of the wall, the defenders are engaged in an equally meticulous kind of work. Security analysts sitting in security operations centers, staring at dashboards, parsing millions of log events per day, looking for the anomaly. The one login at 3 a.m. from an IP address that does not belong. The one account that has suddenly started accessing files it never touched before. The one service that is communicating with a server it has no reason to know. The work on both sides is, at its core, the same work. Pattern recognition, anomaly detection, methodical enumeration of a complex system. The difference is only direction. So here you are, reading this on a device that is running software. Software with version numbers that correspond to known CVEs. A device connected to a network that, somewhere, received a phishing email in the last 72 hours that someone almost clicked. The hacker is not in a dark room becoming superhuman through pure technical genius. The hacker is patient. The hacker is methodical. The hacker understands you better than you understand yourself. And the most dangerous thing about that is not the exploit they will run. It is that when they finally do, you will be the one who opened the door. The hacker is eating cereal. And they are in no hurry at all.